Tom Cruise will edge his way into the box office this weekend, but our film critic says the opening has Warner Brothers execs on the edge of their seats. Good morning to Erik Childress. Good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
So is this going to be a make it or break it? Is there an issue going on behind the scenes with this film?
I wouldn't say make it or break it. I mean, I think this is the first movie of the summer that any studio is really sort of kind of, like you said, kind of on edge about, because it's a $175 million budget. The tracking numbers have sort of suggested that it's probably going to open in the high 20s, maybe the low 30s, and that's not going to be a whole lot, for a Tom Cruise movie with a budget like that.
Would it be a flop?
It would be a flop. I mean, his last movie, Oblivion, last year, only made $89 million in the U.S., but did well enough overseas to where that movie sort of broke even. So that's, with a lot of movies this summer, we've seen that, it's taken the overseas dollars to sort of bring in the budget for all these studios, and Edge of Tomorrow is no different.
You screened the film, and Tom Cruise himself showed up.
He was.
Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
Well, I mean, as you remember last year with World War Z, when you saw there were things, Brad Pitt was going around, jetting around like 3 cities in a day and just sort of showing up at random screenings. That's what kind of Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt were doing last week. They opened in overseas in 3 countries. They opened the movie and showed up at premieres, and they did so. Tom Cruise was here in Chicago, showed up at the end of the screening. The crowd really loved the movie. I like the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the summer, and it'd be a real shame if this movie, sort of opens on the lesser end of the spectrum of the summer movies, because it's one of the better films.
I love Emily Blunt.
She's terrific.
All right, but there's some big news also happening with Warner Brothers and a date move. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, Jupiter Ascending, which was supposed to open July 18th this year, this summer, the next film from the Wachowskis, people were sort of speculating that it was not going to be a very successful film. That people were sort of pegging it as the bomb. Studios were even, putting all their movies, sort of surrounding it and recognizing that it was not going to be that big a hit. So they moved it to February, possibly to sort of stave off, the possibility that Edge of Tomorrow does not do as well as expected. They don't want to have these two sort of bombs on their plate at the same time.
So at the box office this weekend, watch for Edge of Tomorrow and The Fault in Our Stars. This is a movie about cancer.
Yeah.
Somber subject.
Cancer romance. Surprisingly enough, not a Nicholas Sparks story, but it is based on a best-selling book that apparently a lot of teenage girls are going to be flocking to the theater this week. So much so that it's probably going to take the #1 spot, which is going to make Edge of Tomorrow's gross, whatever it is, look even less so. So The Fault in Our Stars is going to be #1 this weekend.
Last weekend at the box office, Maleficent coming in at #1. Angelina Jolie bringing that number in, $69 million. That was a little bit better than we predicted
Much
here.
So.
And then it was X-Men Days of Future Past, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Godzilla, and Blended, and I'm noticing these numbers really drop off.
They do, and that's what's sort of been the theme of the summer so far, is that you've seen these $90 million openings that we keep talking about, and then the second week, huge drop-offs. The X-Men dropped to 64%, Godzilla dropped 66%, but X-Men made the $500 million worldwide that we talked about, so that movie's going to be in profit.
Erik, thanks for helping us out.
Thank you.